It's Art Marketing Monday, and today we're going to talk about building a realistic art marketing strategy. Sound like a plan? So today is Art Marketing Monday. We're going to try to help you make some money by taking some questions that you've submitted. And we're going to talk about some of these things like niche art. I don't know what that means. We'll wait till we see the question. I have not seen the questions. You guys might stump me. We're going to talk about your art, your brand identity, your videos, your social media, your website visits, influencers, and a lot of other stuff. I am Eric Rhoads. I'm the founder of several art magazines, newsletters, conferences for artist events, conventions, other things. And I've been helping artists and galleries in the art world, my goodness, for over 2 decades. And my superpower, if I have one, is the business of art. And I have spent my career in marketing, building businesses, and selling products, and helping people grow and thrive. I've watched and helped businesses 10x their business, in some cases more than that, following advice. So whether or not I can do it for you, I don't know. We're going to give it a try. Let's get this show officially started.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhoads. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhoads.
Welcome to Art School Live. We are here every weekday at 12 noon and have been since forever. If you want to come on camera, just go to artschool.live/stream. Maybe you have a question. You can put your questions in the chat too, and you can send your questions to me, Eric, at streamlinepublishing.com. All right. Okay, let's get to it. Now, I have not seen these questions, and I have not had a chance to think about these questions. So your guess is as good as mine. So, you'll probably come up with something better than I do. This is from 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗹𝗶. I don't know where Aisha is from. I hope I haven't botched your name. I'm sorry. My work is influenced by Middle Eastern architecture. Well, I think that's a clue. And cultural motifs. And I am proud of that heritage, which you should be. But I've had people tell me my art is too niche for Western buyers. Should I try to adapt my art to appeal to a broader market? Or is it better to double down on creating culturally authentic work, even if it limits my audience? Wow, that's a tough one. Well, let's think about this. So there's a period of time in art where Middle Eastern topics and what was the term? I'm trying to think of it. Anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. That was like super popular. It's like in Sargent's era. And because it was exotic, people were going over to the Middle East, they were taking trips, and there were lots of paintings of Middle Eastern people, and it was pretty cool, in the buildings with the little neat designs on them, stuff like that. I would love to go paint there, and so I think I would love to have paintings like that hanging in my home. But, they're a specialized taste, and oftentimes I would say, Aisha, that they might be related to a memory, right? So one of my art galleries told me that they sell a lot of paintings of places that people have traveled to. They say, a lot of European paintings. And so if somebody wanders into the gallery and they've been to the Middle East and they go, oh man, I love that, then I think it's cool. I think now this is where we get into a little gray area, but I think that you got to paint what you love, but you also have to paint what's going to ultimately sell. If that's necessary for you, right? So if I paint what I love, let's say I love puppy dogs. Yeah, I do love puppy dogs. Let's say I love some kind of puppy dog that everybody hates, just some, if that's possible, or some kind of, let's say it's something that nobody wants. If I had to make my living on it, and no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, no matter all the different angles I try, if they're not selling and I have to make my living on it, then that's kind of like having a product that nobody wants, right? And so the key to anybody is you want to have a product that people want. And so you've got to figure out, how can I test this? How can I sell this? You know, for instance, if you're in the Middle East, then you could sell Middle Eastern paintings to people who are there visiting from other countries, and they happen to be staying at, you know, 2 or 3 key hotels. Then I'd try to get into the art gallery in those hotels, or the art galleries down the streets of Marrakesh or wherever people are going to be, because they're going to wander in there and going to go, oh, this is great. It reminds me of this. I want to take this home. So that would be my particular strategy. I think that's what I would try. You know, a lot of people have opinions. They're going to tell you you're too niche. And if your target is Western buyers, then maybe you are too niche. And maybe there's something within your area of passion that wouldn't be too niche. I don't know. I mean, I think I would definitely hang a Middle Eastern painting in my house if it was something that I wanted to remember a trip, something like that. I have Russian paintings all over in my Russian collection, you know, of Russian buildings and bubble top churches and things like that. And, you know, I'm not necessarily going after Russian paintings, but I go after them when I am traveling, and I want to have those memories. So I think you're fine. Just figure it out. You're going to figure it out. Don't worry about limiting your audience. You're going to be able to do it. If you're passionate, you'll figure it out. Just keep trying. All right. I know that's probably not the answer you wanted. Here is one from Mia H. Mia says, what is the best way to talk about my art in person? I freeze up when somebody asks me what my work is about. You know, I just had a session recently with a very top art consultant, and we were talking about the importance of the artist telling their story. And so you need to get over it. And there's a really great video. It's on YouTube. It's with Bob Newhart, and it's called Stop It, right? Look it up and then stop it. And what I mean by that is, look, you have got to get over yourself. You freeze up if somebody asks you what your work is about. Your work is your passion. It's what you love. It's something that you really should be considering being able to be passionate about and talking about. And rather than freezing up, you just have to ask yourself, how can I get over this? If you have to get therapy or have somebody to walk you through it or help. But the best thing to do, and this helped me a lot, Mia, is write out something where you talk about your art and then memorize it, right? And so that if somebody catches you off guard, instead of going, you know, like I would do, just automatically launch into it. You know, this is what my art is about, and this is what gets me excited, and this is what I'm passionate about, that kind of a thing. Now, if it's about specific paintings, myself and this art consultant were talking about the importance of stories, the importance of biographies. You know, if you've won awards or if you've had something special happen in your art career, then you want to talk about that in your story. So build your story and look for a way that you can be unique, and then, you know, get over yourself. And I don't mean that to be rude. I mean that to be, look, if you want to survive, if you have to talk to people to sell your art, you need to stop freezing up. And if that's not something you're willing to do, then you got to get somebody else to sell it for you. And that might work for you too. But and that might mean a gallery or some other person, but you need to be able to be out there. And so that's my best advice to you. Simone, I like that name, from Louisiana. My Instagram is a mix of personal life and art, and people seem to really enjoy the behind the scenes part, but I'm worried that too much personal content makes my page look less professional. Where do you draw the line between building connections and maintaining a strong brand identity? Wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. Well, let me think about that. Well, so I have some very strong opinions about this. Instagram, it is a pretty wonderful place. But what I have found is anytime I go off topic, people unfollow me. My numbers go down. If I stay on topic, they continue to follow or they build. And so you have to ask yourself, when did people come in and what was it that they most liked and what is it that they're gonna resonate with? You know, if you're posting pictures of your life and it's pictures of your food at a restaurant or pictures of your dog in its Halloween costume, you know, some people are going to like that. But if somebody followed you because you were posting great paintings and then you're putting paintings of your dog in a Halloween costume, they're going to unfollow you. I'm sorry. That's the reality. And it's a reality that I face too, because once in a while I do that and then I usually regret it. So I try to keep at least consistent. And the other thing that I would say is related to that consistency is post every day, at least one time every day, so that if you do end up posting 1 out of 7 or 1 out of 14, that's a little off topic, maybe they'll tolerate it a little bit more. But you want your page to be focused on what you're trying to accomplish. And what are you trying to accomplish? If you're an artist, if you want to sell workshops, you talk to artists. If you want to sell artwork, you talk about artwork you sell to collectors. If you, you know, you want to sell Halloween costumes, you post pictures of your dog's Halloween costume. Harper in Boulder, Colorado. I've heard you say artists should show their face online, but I'm extremely camera shy. Is it still possible to grow without being on video? Yeah, of course. I don't have anything more to say about that. Harper, listen, I think people need to know the person behind something. You are unique. You know, you've been called to painting, or you've been called to your art, whatever your art is, and you have gotten good at it. You have struggled and you've gone through a lot. And, you know, it's about the artist as much as it is about the painting. And people want to know who's behind it. You know, I'm on camera all the time. And a lot of the reason is because people want to know who's behind all of this, right? And so I think, you know, I had to get over it. I was very shy. I'm serious. I was very shy, and I'm what they call a situational extrovert, right? So I'm not really extroverted, but I have had to force myself to do it because I'm going to be in certain situations where I do it. So get over it. The same kind of thing I told somebody else earlier. Hugo. Oh, by the way, before we do Hugo, you know, you can make videos without your face in them. You can make videos that get attention. You can have other people, you could hire an actor to be you if you wanted to. I mean, I don't think I would do that, but you could. So just saying, there's a lot of options for you. All right. Hugo says, I recently started doing small reels showing palette shots and brushwork, and they do well, but they don't translate into website visits. How do I move people from passively viewing to actively clicking the link in my bio? Well, you know, what you're offering entertainment wise may not be somebody who's ever going to buy a painting. You know, you might be, for instance, let's say that people who love to see palette shots and brushwork shots are all artists. They want to see, you know, they're into that. But what if collectors don't care about that? They're not gonna buy anything. So you want to make sure you're doing something that the people who are going to buy something. The other thing that most artists make the mistake of is you got to tell people what to do, right? So the new thing on Instagram, by the way, is not link in bio, it's link in comments, right? So the best thing to do is, you know, if you're saying something, say I've got a link in the comments, and then the first comment you put a link to your website in it. But, you know, one of the best things to do is just say, hey, I have such and such on my website if you want to go there and get it. You know, it might be a free ebook, it might be something else, or you could go so far as to say, if you want to see if you want to see this painting where you can really blow it up and look at it, you know, go to my website, and it's a link in the first comment. Okay. But always ask people to do something. If you're assuming they're going to see something and they're going to know what to do, don't assume that. If you want them to buy something, then you want to say, and you can find a lot of subtle ways to say it, but you want to say, my painting is for sale. You want to say, and when they sell, you want to repost them with a red dot and say, hey, this just sold, thank you, so-and-so, because you want to train people on the fact that, hey, things go quickly. And if they see your work and they like it, they need to jump on it. 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗹𝗶𝗀𝗶 Castillo from California. I've been steadily growing my online presence by sharing plein air studies, and I've started attracting interest from plein air festivals and collectors. Congratulations. The problem, there's a problem. The problem is my best work isn't plein air at all. It's my large studio pieces, which hardly ever get the same engagement. When I share them, people barely react. But when I post a quick plein air sketch that I did in an hour, it blows up. I feel like the algorithm is pushing me toward a kind of work I don't actually want to be known for. How do I balance what performs well online with what I ultimately want to build my career around? Well, I will tell you this, Raphael, that sometimes our studio work is not as energetic as our plein air work. I have this problem, right? So I'll go out and I'll do a quick study, and it's got a lot of energy and a lot of, you know, the sense of speed to it. And then I go into the studio and I try to make a copy of it, but I try, you know, I end up more detail, and, you know, sometimes people just don't want that. So they may not, I'm not trying to be rude, but they may not like your studio work. So what you're doing is you're training people to like your plein air studies and hoping that they're going to like your studio work. So what could you do? Well, one thing you could do is you could do a bridge. You could say, I want to show you how I converted a plein air study to a studio piece. And by the way, the how-to is going to appeal to artists, but if you had a way to appeal to somebody else, you could say, want to see the studio, the plein air piece converted to a studio piece? Go look. And, you know, here's how to do it. First comment, you know, is a link to that particular page, and try to put it to that page so they don't have to look for it. I would say that is probably something I would do. The other thing is maybe you have to have two tracks. Maybe you have to have two Instagram pages, and one focuses on studio work, or maybe you need to stop doing the engagement. You know, we get what are called vanity metrics. Vanity metrics are things like, oh, I got, you know, 5,000 followers, and I got, you know, this many this and this many that, and it's like, yeah, well, how much did you sell? Well, nothing. Well, none of those vanity metrics do you any good. If you get all that engagement and it's not helping you sell, if people aren't visiting your website, then you need to try something different. That would be the other answer to that. All right. So we have got like the coolest things coming up. I just am like, I designed these things because they were the things that I wanted as an artist. And I don't mean to sound like I think they're cool, but I do think they're cool, right? So imagine this. You're an artist and you want to learn watercolor, or you already do watercolor, but you want to kind of like push yourself to the next level. You want to get really, really good. And imagine this, that somebody says, hey, you could go to an event online. You don't have to get on an airplane. You don't have to get a hotel. You could go to this event online, take some time off, or watch the replays at night or something, and go to this event, and you can ask questions of the artist as they're painting, and you can get feedback, and you can meet other artists, and you can talk about art, and you can talk about the things you're learning, and you can ask questions, and you can get engaged with a lot of other people, and it's all online. It's called Watercolor Live. And it is such a cool thing. It goes on for 4 days in January. We do it. This is our fifth or sixth one, fifth, I think. And it's spectacular. You're going to be able to interact with artists from all over the world. Usually we get 20, 25 countries attending. Some people are watching in the middle of the night in where they live. Some people watch on replays. And then we all get together online at the end of the day, and we kind of show our work, or we talk about our work, or we paint together. It's really fun. Anyway, check it out at watercolorlive.com. You'll see a lot of different approaches and styles, and that's kind of cool. We also have coming up the Plein Air Convention, and it's like nirvana for plein air painters. The fellow a minute ago, what was his name? He was talking about that he wanted to, he does plein air painting, Rafael Costello in California. If I were you, Rafael, I would get on a bus. No, I'd get in my car and I'd drive to the Ozarks this year. They're centrally located. They're not that far from anywhere. And go to the Ozarks, which are spectacularly beautiful. I had heard of them. I wasn't sure I was all that impressed. And then I went there and I went, wow, it's like best kept secret in America. So pretty. And so we're having the Plein Air Convention there. We have 80 top instructors on 5 different stages teaching. There's a watercolor stage. There's mostly an oil stage. We do pastel. You'll get acrylic. You'll get gouache. You'll get a little bit of everything. Have a big expo hall. We have all kinds of sessions on, how to paint clouds or trees, sessions on critiques, sessions on everything you can imagine, gouache painting, etc. We have some superstar artists that are going to be there teaching. And when we all go painting together at the end of every day, we have artists that work with you in the field. We also have pre-convention workshops this year. Andrew Tischler from New Zealand, and we have Thomas W. Schaller, the great watercolor artist from America. And we have a Plein Air Basics course, which is handled by Carrie Curran and a bunch of other artists. They go in, they teach you the basics, and then they work with you the whole week. You can hang with them the whole week, paint together. It's kind of like a club. And anyway, you want to go to the Plein Air Convention in the Ozarks. We need to get that logo bigger for this. It's pretty small on a small screen. Okay, next up is Jae-Min Kwon. Jae-Min says, I was accepted into a juried exhibition. All right, congratulations. But they require artists to promote the event heavily on social media. Is it appropriate to promote a show even if the gallery itself isn't doing much marketing? Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, look, think about this. They know this about you. They know that every artist in this exhibition has people who follow them, who buy their work, who like their work. And so you're in this exhibition. Why not talk about it? Hey, I'm excited. I'm going to be in this juried exhibition in Dallas, and it's going to be on the 18th of February. And I'm really excited. I did 20 new paintings for it, and you guys should come. What's wrong with that? It's going to help you. It's going to get people to the show. The other artists are promoting it. They're going to get people to the show. Some of the people that come to the show from another artist are going to buy your paintings, and some of the people that come to the show for you are going to buy their paintings. It's all helpful. This is pretty common practice. We do this for the Plein Air Convention. We give people what we call icons, and they can promote them on social media. Hey, I'm going to be teaching at the Plein Air Convention. And so there's a lot of different things you can do. And I think that's a very reasonable request. All right. It's quid pro quo. You help me, I'll help you. Jenna Rivers in California. I have been approached by several influencers asking for free paintings in exchange for promotion. Is this ever worth it? I've never been asked that question, Jenna. And I think it's odd that you've been approached by several influencers. And if you heard from one, some people would say I'm an influencer. I don't know if I am, but I once in a while hear from somebody who says, they want to advertise with me, and I'll send them some information. So if you want to advertise, here's how much it costs, and then I never hear from them again because they don't want to pay my exorbitant fees, even though there's like 18 million people watching. So I would ask yourself, all right, what would be, my rule is test everything. So Jenna, what if somebody said, hey, I'm an influencer and I want a free painting in exchange for promotion? So you say, great, let's do it. Let's get on the phone and talk about it. All right. Now you're going to say, okay, you're an influencer. Tell me a little bit about that. Tell me how many people you have watching you. I remember I sent an airline a thing and said, hey, I'm an influencer. Could you give me a free flight? I didn't hear from them. And then I read something that they get like 5,000 influencers a day asking them for free flights, and they don't give them to anybody. So I'd get on the phone and say, what kind of audience do you have? Who are they? What good is this going to do me? What are you going to say? How are you going to get them to visit me? Tell me your exact plan. And then tell me the painting you want. And then you ask yourself, okay, is it worth it? Do I trust this person? Is it worth it? And if you think it's worth it, try it. The worst that can happen is you're going to lose a painting, right? Now, if it works, then you're going to want to double down on that and maybe get the same person to do it again. Say, hey, you want another painting? Let's do it. I sold 5 paintings because of that. And, the thing that I would be concerned about, the fact that you heard from so many influencers at one time, I'd be concerned that maybe it's one person who's pretending to be several influencers and wanting free painting. But hey, get on the phone with them, talk to them about it, or have a dialogue. If they're not willing to do that, then it's not worth doing. And by the way, send me a note, send me an email, eric@pleinairmagazine.com, and send me their names. I'll check them out for you. All right. Next we have, this is a nice one, 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗹𝗶𝗀 in Ireland. All right, 𝗕𝗂𝗶, I love your name. What a beautiful name. My work sells instantly at low prices, but when I try raising my prices even slightly, sales stop. Am I priced too low or just targeting the wrong people? Well, I don't know what low prices means, 𝗕𝗂𝗶𝗹𝗶𝗀. So low prices to some people are $100. Low prices to others are $50. I'm saying dollars. You're euros, but low prices to other people are 5,000 euros. So I don't know what that means exactly in your particular world, but typically, if you raise the prices and the sales stop, then you're talking to the wrong audience, or you have just discovered what works. And if you can't sell your prices if you can't sell your paintings at those prices, and you need to get them up priced, then you're going to have to find a new audience. And typically, environment impacts price. Environment impacts price, right? So if I'm in a casino in Las Vegas, let's say it's the Mirage, and it's a very elegant thing, and I'm walking through their little shopping mall, and you see a lot of $5,000 bags in there and a lot of $20,000 suits and things like that. They're selling in that environment because people are flush. The people are flush with cash. They've just won money, or they're feeling it, and they have a lot of money. If you're in what is it? I'm trying to think of the name of it. Anyway, there's some neighborhoods that are, well, let's say Beverly Hills, right? So if you're in a gallery in Beverly Hills and the people that go in there are movie stars and wealthy people that own oil companies and stuff like that, and they pulled up in their Bentley, they're not going to buy a painting if its price is too low because it's going to seem cheap to them. They're going to say something's wrong with it. But if you put a $50,000 price tag on it, that might even seem low to them. You just have to test it. So environment makes a difference. So, you've got to figure it out. You got to test it. And it may be that this is in your local community. You might be in a small town. I don't know. I don't know your environment, but I think environment is the answer to the question. And the other thing I would do is I would ask, if people say you raise the prices, sales stop. Well, ask the people, if they express interest, then they're not, say, what's the deal with the price? you know, how do I get my price up? Why is this not worth it to you? Understand it. Just see if you can find out. Ask questions always. Thank you, Ireland. All right, Jenna Rivers in California. A lot of Californians today. Hey, thank you for being here. I've been approached by several. Wait, we talked about that one. Okay. So that got in there twice somehow. Caroline in North Carolina. I hear a lot about branding, but I don't know what my brand is. How does an artist figure that out without forcing it? I don't know. Caroline, let's talk about brand. All right. So what is a brand? You know, the brand, now the word brand originally came because they'd take this thing and they'd burn it into the butt of a cow. And that was, you know, let's say my ranch is the ER Ranch, and I'd brand ER Ranch into the butt of a cow. That's where the whole concept of branding came from. Probably the biggest, most well-known brand in the world is McDonald's. But just because you have a big brand doesn't mean it's the right brand, right? So think about a luxury brand, Louis Vuitton, right? That's a luxury brand. So McDonald's is not a luxury brand. It's a big brand. It means quick food, cheap hamburgers, right? Consistent. Louis Vuitton means expensive bags, beautiful, high-end, high quality, and expensive, right? I said that. And so a brand has to have some meaning, and really a brand is, what are you all about, right? So brand has a lot to do with trust. So if people say, you know, that Caroline, you know, you can't trust her. She's always lying through her teeth, and you know, her paintings, you know, she's copying other people's paintings and saying they're her own. That could become your brand. Or your brand could be, you know, that Caroline in North Carolina, she is the sweetest thing. She is so friendly, and she's such a good artist, and she's so happy and fun to be around. I just love being around her. That can be what your brand is, right? And no, how do you put that into meaning and your advertising? That's a little tougher, but you know, you can do it. You know, brand yourself as the friendliest artist in America. And, you know, sometimes that's what it is. What you want to do is ask other people what they think you stand for. You know, if you were to tell other people about me, Caroline from North Carolina, what would you say about me? Or what would you say about my artwork? And that way, you know, you're listening to a lot of feedback, and then you're not forcing it. You're just listening. And that will help you figure out and identify what you are. All right, here we go. Hey, by the way, did I tell you that I've got a retreat coming up? I'm standing here and I'm a little shivering cold, right? I need to turn the heat up a little bit here in the studio. And I'm thinking about, I would love to go painting, but I don't want to go out there and paint because it's too cold. So I'm a fair weather painter most of the time. Once in a while, I'll paint in the snow or something. But think about this. In February, it's going to be the worst. It's always the worst in January and February. It's going to be so cold, so snowy, depending on where you are. If you're in Hawaii watching this, or you're in LA, it's not a problem. But if you're in a big part of the country, it's cold, it's snowy, it's icy, your car is sliding off the road, it's crazy, and it's gray, and you're so depressed. And you're like, I just want to go painting. I just can't wait till it gets warm. So imagine this. That's February. You say to your husband or your wife or your parents or your grandkids or whatever, you say, hey, I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again, right? I am leaving. I'm going down to Hilton Head Island. I'm going to fly into Savannah or Hilton Head, and I am going to go stay on the beach with about 100 other people, and we're going to hang out together. They're going to feed me my meals. I'm going to get out of bed, roll out of bed, get my breakfast, a nice breakfast, not just any breakfast, but a beautiful catered breakfast, not just a hotel breakfast. And then they're going to say, hey, this is where we're going painting today. Yeah, we're going into Savannah. We're going to paint here in Savannah. Here's a map. Follow us. Get in your car. Follow us. Or ride with somebody else. We're going to go painting there today. And then about noon, we say, hey, okay, now we're going here painting. And then we go painting there. And then we say, okay, it's about time for dinner. We're going to go home and we're going to have dinner. And then if there's time, maybe we'll paint the sunset, or maybe we'll paint the nocturne. We do all kinds of things, and we do it every day for a week. And it's so much fun. At night, we sit up, we paint portraits. Some people bring their guitars. I bring my guitar. We sit around and we sing. Sometimes we do crafts. We do all kinds of things. We are just there to have fun. All age groups, no children, but all age groups. We get people in their 30s. We get people in their 90s. We get people in between. And we have art in common. So we love what we do. We love each other. And we're not sitting around the Thanksgiving table saying, hey, Uncle Harry, have you ever heard of cadmium red? And he goes, I don't, and then you sit around the table at Winter Artscape and you say, hey, what's your favorite cadmium red? They say, oh, have you tried this one? Like they're into the same things you're into. So it's called Winter Art Escape. I've only got 20 seats left, and it's coming up February 6th through 13. Greatest Christmas gift ever. winterartescape.com. Do yourself a favor, go check it out. It will be a blast. All right, next up we have Amaya N. I like that name too. Amaya N from California. A lot of Californians. I have reached the point where I want to be more strategic with my marketing. Oh, that's smart. But I feel scattered. I have Instagram, Facebook, a website, a newsletter, but none of them are working. They don't work together. Sometimes I send people to my shop, sometimes to my Instagram. Sometimes I post reels just because everybody says to. I don't have a real plan. How does an artist create a simple, realistic marketing system where everything works cohesively instead of randomly? And what should the core focus be if I only have a few hours a week for marketing? Baby, you are talking right up my alley. This is what I do, Amaya. Look, here is part of the problem that you suffer. Back in the ancient days when I first started in business, we did things, they were called letters, and we had typewriters, and we had to get our fingers out and push these little buttons. Early days, they didn't even have electric ones. Then they got electric ones, and we would put those letters in an envelope, and we would lick a stamp and stick it on it. And then we would walk them to the post office, and we would hope that we hear from somebody that says, hey, I'm interested. Maybe the phone would ring and they'd say, hey, I got your letter. I want to buy what it is you're selling. That was hard. And back then, we want to get something, we just buy an ad and hope that the ad worked. And that still works, by the way. But look, I have been in business for longer than I care to admit. And I will tell you this, that these days in business, if you're going to be in business, there are certain basic things you have to do. And you know what? You have to do them all. Now, I could say, pick something and do one thing well. And I would say, if I were going to pick something and say, do one thing well, I don't know what I'd pick, because a lot of people are on Instagram and Facebook, and everybody has a website. I think websites are dead, but that's another story for another time. And, people have a newsletter. Look here, if you're going to focus on one thing, it is you want to build a list, and you want that list to be people who want or love your work. If you build a list of other artists, then that list of other artists is basically to sell workshops, right? But the idea here is build a list and then send them newsletters. If I couldn't do anything else, I would do that. And then the newsletters have a link to buy something, whether that's on your website or whether that's on your Instagram or that's somewhere else. But, you kind of need all these things. What you want to do is work smart. Every artist, let's back this up for just a second. You're a business person. You're an artist trying to sell artwork. If you have to make your living selling artwork, then you're in business. And there are certain things you have to do in business that you might not like to do. I don't like to do taxes, right? And I have people who do that for me now. I didn't used to, but I don't like to do certain things. But you have to do everything when you're first starting out. And you know, sometimes you got to get people to your shop. Sometimes you got to get people to your website. Sometimes you got to get people to different places. And the reality is your plan, if I were going to do anything, I'd say, okay, the one thing that I'm going to work on cohesively is figure out how to use my social media to get names of people interested in me, get them to join my newsletter. And that's usually by offering something for free, something that people are going to want, get them to sign up. And then talk to them at least once or twice a month. That's what I would do if you don't want to do anything else. But the reality is you're in business, you got to do these things. And you should be taking the equivalent of 1 full day a week to focus on your marketing. That's, if you do work 5 days a week, that's 20%, right? So whether that's 2 hours a day or something, you need to be working on marketing. If you're painting all the time, you're creating a lot of product, but you don't have any way to sell it. Those are the realities you don't want to hear. Okay, I think that is it for today's Art Marketing Monday. We have a free gift for you. We get our free video, 97 Incredible Art Secrets from the world's finest artist, and you can get it at 97secrets.com. And let's see here. Why don't we just real quickly, let's play that Watercolor Live promo. You guys are... If you go to Watercolor Live and you don't feel like you got your money's worth, if the first day doesn't feel like you got your money's worth for the full week, let us know by the end of the day. We'll refund your money, right? Okay, we want you to be happy. And by the way, we have to live up to our promises because we want to live in this community for a long time because we're part of it. And if we get a bad reputation for stiffing people, that's not a good thing. So come to Watercolor Live. You're going to love it. Okay, well, we're here every weekday at 12 noon. You can subscribe to this program. And on Mondays, we're doing marketing. On Fridays, we do feedback. And we do training every day in the middle. And so come subscribe. Just go to YouTube, look up Art School Live, and hit that subscribe button. And then we have that little bell, and that notifies you when we go live, which is cool. Anyway, you're watching on a lot of platforms. Make sure to go into the comments. Tell us where you're watching from, and tell me what you want for Christmas. I'm Eric Rhoads. We will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.